Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today, I want to do something a little fun. I want to talk about 5 dive watches or aquatic watches or dusk diver watches, whatever you want to call them, that you should buy instead of a Rolex Submariner. Now, of course, before we get started, customary wristwatch check. Today I'm wearing my Moser Pioneer green dial on an orange Moser strap. It's starting to get hot here in Miami, so pull this one out of the watch box. And also, guys, a bunch of new stock has hit Delray Watch. We just got in an Omega CK859. Everybody wants this watch. They are still not super easy to get, but we did just get one in, cheapest one in the country. We also got in a Rolex Datejust 36 blue dial with the fluted bezel on Jubilee, full set. Or actually, no, not full set. No papers, however, fantastic price as well if you've got that Rolex itch. And a Santos de Cartier, by Cartier, large size. This one is full kit, box, papers, the new iconic Santos with the quick release bracelet. What's not to love? All at DelrayWatch.com, the best place for a watch geek to buy a watch. Link in the description below. So yeah, guys, the Rolex Submariner. Some could say the most iconic watch of all time. Actually, I do think it is the most iconic watch of all time. I don't have much bad to say about it, at least from a technical aspect. I've owned a couple in my life. There's a lot to like. However, it's still a pretty expensive watch, and you can definitely get better bang for the buck. And it's a pretty common watch. So one thing you can't say is owning a Rolex Submariner makes you special, because you walk down Fifth Avenue in New York, and guess what? There's like 10,000 other people wearing a Rolex Submariner. So if that's what you want, get a Rolex, a sub, it's iconic, I get it. But if you want something more special, more unique, that maybe offers you more for the money, well, there's a lot of options out there. And this is based entirely on my opinion and in no particular order. I'm also going to avoid a lot of the usual suspects like an Omega Seamaster. Like everybody knows that's a good alternative. I want to go slightly more left field, but not too left field. In fact, the first one is probably the easiest guess. That is the Tudor Pelagos. Yes, Tudor is Rolex's smaller brother. It's less expensive brother. Some say it's less fine brother. But if you look at the Pelagos, it's fantastic. Titanium, higher water resistance. It still has an in-house movement. Yes, the Rolex movement is higher end, but this has that fantastic clasp. It's a very tough watch. It's a true tool watch, more expensive materials, and for a fraction of the price. It does everything the sub does, both a little bit more personality, a lower price point, and it's extremely well respected. And you know why? Because it's the first true tool watch to come out of the Rolex/Tudor factory in a very long time. And what's not to love about a purpose-built watch? Next is a dive watch that's taken the world by storm by a brand that hasn't been known for making dive watches, and that is the Glasuta CQ. We're leaving Switzerland, we're going to Germany, to a watchmaker that is known for complications and finishing, and we're going with their dive watch. The CQ, particularly the big date, is an absolute beauty. A skin diver style case in stainless steel. It still has the ceramic bezel, fantastic adjustable buckle, I think even nicer than the Rolex quick release, and with a movement with true finishing work to it. Yes, not entirely hand finished at this price point, but you've got some very nice finishing to it, and you can actually see the movement as well. Made in much smaller batches than a Rolex, much less common than a Rolex, about the same price as a Rolex, but in my opinion, a finer product all around. Apart from maybe design. If you like the design of the Rolex better, I don't blame you, but in terms of quality, I don't know how the CQ just doesn't bitch slap the Submariner in the face. Excuse my language. Now we go to something a little different as well. It's still a dive watch, but a different style. And that is the JBL Polaris. JLC, the watchmaker's watchmaker, also a watchmaker that has a history of sports models, but maybe not very well known for it. This is their new dive watch. Internal rotating bezel with a second crown in a compressor style case. In-house movement, once again with very high levels of finishing. Strap and bracelet option. Dial options. This is entirely based on design. I actually love the JLC Polaris. I know not everybody does, but also the fact that you can get a JLC sports watch with basically the same specs as a Rolex for thousands less, well, that tells me everything I need to know. I absolutely love this JLC. And, you know, while it's not like the stereotypical dive watch, its neo-vintage styling is a big plus for me. Now one that a lot of people say is not on the same level, and they might be right, and that is the Carl F. Bucher Petravio. Carl F. Bucher is a big up-and-coming brand. They've started making in-house movements. They even make high complications. They even make tourbillons. The Petravio, however, is their sports line. They do make an in-house version. They also have an ETA version. But what I love about this is the construction. Yes, it's bigger than a Rolex. It's thicker than a Rolex. But it's built to pretty much do anything and go anywhere. This is a true sports watch. Fantastic water resistance, built like a brick shithouse. You can knock someone out with this thing. Yes, that means it's not for everybody. It won't fit everybody well. If somebody wants a slim, elegant diver, this is not it. But if you want a dive watch to actually go diving with, or trekking in the jungle, or doing extreme sports, then this is extremely well made, a fraction of the price, you have a ton of color options, and overall, just a fantastic choice. Then last but not least, and I've mentioned this before, and this is definitely not a dive watch, but it serves the same purpose because it can get wet, it's a sports watch, and it can still be dressy. That is the Moser Pioneer. I've got the green one on an orange rubber strap, but you also have different dial colors, blue and red. There's also a bracelet option. It's 120 meters of water resistance, so screw down crown, you can still get it wet. Yes, no bezel, but here you've got a high horology independent maker with an in-house movement, in-house case, basically everything's in-house. It's a different level of watch. You know, Rolex makes over 1 million watches a year. I don't even think Moser makes 5,000, you know. It's entirely hand-assembled, not in an assembly line. Yes, it's their lower-end movement, right? But it's still in-house. It's still beautiful to look at. It's just a different level of watch entirely. It is high horology, whereas the Rolex is not. And yes, this will probably cost you about the same, if not a tiny bit more than a Submariner if you compare pre-owned to pre-owned. But it's absolutely worth it, and it's very much in the same price point, but in my opinion, you get way, way more. And guys, once again, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but that's the beauty of watch collecting. Let's have a discussion. Leave your comments in the comments section below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It really does help. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Guys, thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.